Hello and welcome to India Today Northeast. This is Rijoy Das Kanungu and we have a very special guest with us today. We have Mr. Swapnanil Talukdar, who is a social engineer and innovator. He has worked with two ex-presidents of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and Pranab Mukherjee. He is a social impact maker and also a mentor to thousands of students. Welcome Mr. Swapnanil to India Today. First of all, जो मेरा एक curiosity है basically. Who is a social engineer and what is social engineering? ये मुझे थोड़ा जानना था पहले.
Uh, when I was in my college, I realized that most of the engineers are very good problem solvers, right? जुगाड़ जो कहते हैं Indian context में, in terms of finding very frugal innovation for complex problems. Then I realized that can we use this engineering hacks or mindset for a social problem? So I termed this particular phrase, social engineer, for those particular people or individuals who have a niche towards solving social problems, right? And more of a technical approach, a systematic approach, leke can they solve a problem? And in the computer science world, social engineering is termed more of a hacking, activity, right? So I thought let's not mix it, but let's keep the hacking component more for a good cause. Hence the term social engineer.
Okay, so basically as a social engineer, you work with the youths and you work with every section of age, like people of every section from age. How do you find, what do you find most exciting about the youths of today, and what is the most negative thing that you find about the youths of today?
Today's youths are definitely well informed. They are prone to technologies, right? They are from a very young age. They understand technology uses. That's a good side of it. We don't have to spend much time on educating them on how to apply technology in their life. That is good. The other side is because of information overload, there is a lot of blockage in terms of their understanding of what is right and wrong. Hence, many of the youths are kind of inclining towards depression, isolation, and things like lower self-esteem and other psychological I would say hurdles or blockades.
So do you think the democratization of internet has played a very crucial role in this?
So I feel that it's more of a democratization of internet could be seen more of a foundational clay, right, where we have all the resources required. The machine is there, the clay is there, the craftsman is there. But then again, if we don't have a boundary or kind of a environment for safe browsing of internet, then the clay pot will not come as desired. So that's the problem that we are facing right now.
Yeah. So you have worked with NASA, you have worked with two ex-presidents of India. Like as a young individual, what do you think that today's youth lack of?
I feel that first of all, they do not lack ambition. That's a good side. They definitely know which areas interest them. They definitely understand which avenues they can choose in the days to come. So that part they're aware. However, the other side is they do not understand or they have not quite given efforts to understand the reality, accept the reality, and also somewhere it's more of a daydreaming for most of the youths, right? If I'm dreaming of a certain career, there are thousands more dreaming of the same career and approach along with me, and not only in India, right? It's a global competition. Earlier, even if someone dreamed, we can assume that the percentage of people dreaming or aspiring for a particular career is the percentage is less, the competition is less. Now it's like you have a Wagoner, there are 1,000 more with the Wagoner, and you are trying to race in a Formula 1 racing car, and you are giving 100%, right? You are driving at 120 km/h, but the problem is you still have a Wagoner, you still don't have the Formula 1 racing car. True. So then the acceptance of that reality is not there in the youths. Hence they are going through a depression phase, right? And there is no solution per se when you are trying to compete in that phase with lower skill sets. Right? We can't solve that situation.
Do we need to really focus on our skill development? Like with academics, जैसे हम academics को ज़्यादा priority देते हैं, so like same priority should be given to skill development, I think, for today's generation.
It depends on the career that one is kind of aspiring. I feel that first of all there has to be unison of thoughts between the parents' expectation and the market, and also the child's ambition. There has to be average point of it. You can't think too high and then be depressed. I'm not encouraging people to not dream big. I'm saying that when you are dreaming big, the hard work is proportional, right?
True.
You can't have an inverse proportional kind of a hard work, and you get all the motivational videos, you listen to Sunday Maheshwari, then you go through Innovator videos and get spiritual, and then you spend most of the time just being motivated. But where is the work?
Okay.
Where are you? Are you there in the race of a Wagoner or a Ferrari? You should know your status pretty well. Post that, once you understand the reality, post that, you can define or design a pathway or get professional help. That's the advantage you have through an individual mentor or through internet.
So, like, I think psychology plays a very big role in this,
Correct.
like whole job scene, yeah, like the dreaming of big ambitions
Correct,
and everything.
correct.
So, according to you, we should dream big, but we have to also like think of the hard work that we are going to put for that dream. So, I just want to know one thing. It's a very personal question. What was your dream? What did you want to become, and have you achieved that?
Correct. So I had a very peculiar thought when I was in grade 7 and 8 in Don Bosco School, Sunagoli. I wanted to be known by every other classmate or seniors and juniors or the teaching fraternity there. So I kind of wanted fame for that matter, and that's typically with every other
Everyone,
children,
yeah.
right? But I was very aggressive about it. So I started taking part and being active in all these green, red house, blue house activities that we have in schools, right? And I started kind of appreciating the teaching fraternity. I kind of had a very closely associated relationship with all the teachers, and I obeyed, or kind of without thinking much on my side. I said, okay, if this teacher has given me this advice, there might be some reason. So that part I took it blindly, and then I kind of crave the pathway for being a very creative child when I was in grade 10. The problem started when I went to a different school in grade 11 in Maharshi Vidyamandir Barshajai, where every other children is talented and passionate and skilled in certain thing or the other, and I did not have any means to be popular at that point. Right. So I thought, in school, I mean, where I studied till grade 10, I had the perfect, environment set up. But when I went to a new school, I kind of missed that. Hence, I started understanding avenues where no one else approached. And I realized science exhibition is one activity where not many students go, because it's a typical waste of time for many students who are busy in their coaching and other industries and practices and all. So I kind of ventured into that. So I'm not I would say, innovation did not happen to me by choice. It just happened because I had a different thought in mind.
Okay.
Right? Even in the innovation journey also, I just came here by chance.
Okay. So basically what you were saying is like it happens with everyone. Like when we are in a comfort zone, we know these people, like in school basically, when we study, like everyone studies for 10 years till class 10. We know the how are our friends and who are our friends. We know them in depth. We know them very well. But when we move out from school, we get into another pool of
Correct,
students and pool of ideas. Then it becomes difficult to stand out in that point. So what should a student do to stand out in that scenario?
I feel that it's like Indian team playing typically good in their home ground. You should understand where your home ground is. Typically every other student or child or youth for that matter has some inherent skills that will definitely be there, and I always kind of reject to the thought that they don't have. It's very dormant. It's not active yet. He might be an extremely good introvert also is a good skill, because then typically they are very good analysts. You'd believe me if you see the research papers and stuff. People who are very extrovert are very good in communication skill. Then the introvert crowd feel that they are left out, but I feel they are very good analysts because they are silent from their thoughts. It's not that they don't talk. I don't think there is any category called introvert. It's just that they are selective enough. To be very matured in selection of people and they talk. I have while when I talk to students, right, even the most introvert student also opens up, but the topics that he or she is going to speak would be very different from the other larger pool of 80-90% of the crowd.
True.
So everyone should play around with their skill sets. And when you are in grade 9, 10, 11, 12, everyone has a passion of some sort or develop some hobby. There is no harm in going for a chess competition. There is no harm in getting that 100 rupees, Rubik's Cube in Paltan Bazaar station and play around it, right? It does not cost you anything. So having a hobby or an activity to kind of brush up your skills when you're free is very important. And once you have that, then that particular skill can be a standing out point for you when you go, kind of event into grade 11, 12 and thereafter.
True. And like thanks to my line of work, I get to meet different people, I get to meet different students. There are a certain amount of students, basically I have seen, it's my personal experience, I have seen there are certain amount of students who are not sure what their passion is.
Correct.
They are confused. They don't know what they're going to do. Like if you ask them that what is your aim, what do you want to become, they say हम देख लेंगे, मतलब देखते हैं क्या होता है.
Correct.
They have no idea what they are good at. So in case of these students, what do you think they should do?
So my answer would be very different from most other speakers, right? I would say let them be what they are. I mean, everyone need not have a niche or they should not be standing out. Because then if everyone is an individual, who is going to work under someone else? Because that kind of a thought comes in, right? Because having an individualistic component or standing out also comes with a lot of responsibilities. Because then you are the role model for many, right? And it's not, and when we say about finding that niche for yourself, we always bind it to the educational timeline.
True.
But many of these cases you have seen globally also, the average millionaire is not 25, it's 35. Some they get young fast, some do it, and those news or those articles or stories are highlighted much more. But the average aging of, the top brands, the CEOs are not in their 20s, it's in the 30s, 40s and above. So when someone is not able to find a particular niche for themselves, they are not able to stand out. I feel that they should do what is served to them. Because even though we complain the Indian education system is very old, I feel if that is the case, then we would not have had, 20% or 25% of the Indian origin CEOs in the top 500 companies.
True.
I agree to disagree on the fact that we are always bombarding the government saying they are not doing enough. I feel it's an individuality, an approach with internet at everyone's palm. I think it's not very difficult to stand out. And if assuming that you are someone who wants to find a passion, it might be late, accept it. But don't stop networking. Don't stop learning from your peers. Don't allow people's judgment for a timeline to be your reality. You have to understand that if you are slow, you are slow. But slow does not mean lazy. And slow has to come with consistency. Right? That's how someone builds a fortune indicator.
In today's world, we have seen that for any sector, like for jobs, for anything, fellowship is very much important. पहले क्या होता था I don't know, but अभी का जो scene मैं देखता हूँ, जो scenario है, इसमें like the more you get connected with people, there are more the chances are higher that you will get hired by someone.
Correct.
So how do you see this?
I feel that peer-to-peer learning, I was telling my sister the other day, if you do a PhD, I want you to understand the importance of peer-to-peer learning. Is it more effective compared to a learning system where there's an instructor and you are there and there's a huge generational gap?
Yeah.
So, I do not know if there are much papers around it, but I feel peer-to-peer learning makes much sense. Even though the information may be wrong from my friend, but the way he understands is the way he's going to explain me, and the way I'm going to understand it would be probably similar to your approach, right? So the approach of understanding or learning something, and the way you are going to describe to me would be very layman and realistic. But the way an instructor is going to kind of teach me through it would be from a different approach, and that same wordstick will not be applicable for all the students. That's where there are great teachers and gurus, and then there are teachers who are appointed as teachers. There's a difference between them, right?
True. Like we have talked about, like we have discussed today's youth's problems and all. I actually now want to know about your journey working with two ex-presidents of India and also working for the NASA. How was your journey?
So in 2014, I was glad and honored to receive the Ignite Award by
Yeah.
Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam for my innovation that I did for specially gifted community people, right? So my machine typically works around a philosophy of flipping book pages, right? So assuming I do not have my upper limbs, how do I flip the book page? So my manual device, it's foot operated, it flips the book pages, and it's a very handy tool, low cost, I mean, for a country like India. And it can be repaired anywhere. So that was the philosophy of designing. I did design this when I was in grade 11. So as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to stand out, right? Science exhibition was the only area where not many students they took part. So I thought, why don't I design something that will be actually socially relevant, and it does not take much of a engineering skills to build it. And then when I was going through all this, stories and problem statements, so I figured out the people without their upper limbs have a huge problem in educating themselves. So as a fellow, I would say youth, and seeing someone who do not have hands and is deprived of education, I thought, why don't I venture into this thing? Because it serves two purposes. One, it makes me famous during that, grade 11 thought, I have to stand out in the crowd. Secondly, that very thought of social contribution kind of erupted because of my family's contribution also.
Okay.
I mean, it also has to do a lot of how your parents upbringing and what they expect out of you. If your parents expect you to have a good family and settle down good, then your timeline is different. But if they want you to be satisfied when you sleep at night, then the timeline approach is different. So my parents were open enough to say, if you want to achieve something that is satisfying enough for you as an individual, then you take that path. Otherwise, we have nothing much to say. All we can do is pay the bills. That's it.
So, going on your education, like while you were at school, you said you wanted to be famous. Like maximum of us have this intention,
Correct.
or we have this dream that someday people will know about my work, people will know about me specifically. So, like in that case, when we have that much of ambition that people will know me, the world will know me.
Correct.
In that case, if somebody couldn't do that, what should he do, or how should be the mindset if he fails?
Correct. So I feel there is no failure, it's just a degree of success, right? Assuming you are venturing into a path of being famous by getting into certain traits of dancing, singing, or you're starting your own podcast, digital marketing, being a social media influencer, or speaking about financial tips and other things. The moment you start a journey, people will know you. It's just that if you don't have enough substance in your content, you are eventually going to fail and dissatisfy your existing pool. If your content is strong, irrespective of all the other technological support of light and camera and sound, you are still going to make sense, because in today's world, content or ideas always makes a chance. It's always evident. We have seen in Indian context, people without a content or substance are not going to survive long. Even with all the flashy and glamours that they currently have. It's not going to, because you can't sell the glamour every time. And there is definitely, Indian people even though seem to be very inclined towards glamour and fashion, but it's not for one person, it's a whole industry. So today they are kind of inclined towards this actor, tomorrow they are going to be inclined to that actor. Because after a certain degree, they don't have anything to offer.
In context of India, like we have seen a recent trend, like in the last 5 years or 10 years, we have seen that people are intentionally making contents which are not very nice, I would say. They are like somebody is singing a song in a very distorted tone,
Correct.
and they are getting famous. They are getting the fame that other people dream of.
Correct.
So how do you describe that?
I'll put a different perspective around here is, in today's time, Facebook and Instagram, they have a dedicated wing or arm or department. They are trained, and I do not know, someone told me they are called attention engineers. Their particular task is to make sure that you are glued to your screen, right? So you can't beat that kind of a technology. That is one. Secondly, when we talk about the different consumption of information or content by different category, I feel in today's world, 100% of the youths are not inclined towards that fame or other things. Definitely, it's a significant amount, but the amount is not a complete, super universal set. I feel there is definitely a certain segment of people who are going for good content. That's the reason podcast in today's time is making sense. Otherwise, shorts, YouTube shorts and TikTok would have made sense only. But since podcast and TikTok shorts both coexist, hence it proves that even though if this long form content has 30% of the crowd, these are the matured crowd. And in any environment or even I would say developed nation also, it's the same rate. India is no exception to that. It might be that because of certain factors, it's flashing to be that the whole crowd is influenced by the content, but the statistics don't say that. If you see Think School, BR Bishop shows, you see huge content coming there, right? People are watching that and the subscribers are very huge.
But there is also a trend that whenever an individual goes viral,
Correct.
like with not nice content,
Correct.
This fame is temporary.
Absolutely.
Like the graph will go up for a particular amount of time, then it will fall.
True.
And we have seen cases like that.
Correct.
So why don't they sustain? Why, like the fame? Why don't the fame sustain?
So it's more of a if you see the human evolution also, right? Everything has a benchmark or a limit. I mean, but information or knowledge does not have a horizon. I mean, it's more of a benchmark where it's more of an infinity pool of knowledge, right? But when you go to the glamour world, right, and you kind of go for the exterior content of it, then there is always a limitation to it, right? Even though you might be the most smartest person alive in certain degree, but you can't always beat the creative people around. Hence, only entertainment does not sustain more, right? And that's the reason if you see any of these movies or whatever, right? Even after giving a big, 1,000 crore budget movie, they still continue for a next movie.
Okay.
Because even the smartest people, the most popular, film stars understand that it's a short temporary thing. However, India has seen people like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and other people contributing to the factor still relevant.
Sure.
So people understand, they know about the fact. It's just that because everyone speaks of the flashy content, they tend to agree and nod their head that I also like Big Boss and I also like this Splitsvilla and other shows. But if I ask a general crowd, what did you know about this? I mean, obviously, since they're consuming their content, they know the participant, their profile, their home address and everything. But even the consumer also understand that if, assuming tomorrow a new Splitsvilla comes in, I'm not going to follow this guy, I'm going to follow the new guy.
Okay.
So it's more of a temporary gratification on both the content, both the sides, both the parties. And everyone knows it. That's the interesting part. They don't want to accept it, they know it. Still, this consumer who is consuming Splitsvilla is also going to consume Think School, Veer Vaishnav, Avijit Chawra and other people around.
Yeah. So, like moving on from this topic, I just want to ask you, you have worked with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam from a very close proximity. How was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam as a person?
So I remember this one instance, in IIM Ahmedabad, right, when he was giving the awards, we had this opportunity to speak to him personally, and he spoke to all the awardees one by one, right, where you were from and all these things. So in 2024 from Northeast, I was the only one. So he asked me, where is your hometown, where are you from? Then I said, so I'm from Guwahati, Assam. Then he smiled, okay, we have good products or innovations coming out of Northeast, a good sign. Then he had a general discussion with all the awardees. He said that, how many of you want to be politician? Then no one raised their hand, assuming that it's not very nice trade. Then he explained the importance of being a good politician for the country to the whole group of innovators. At that moment, I did not understand why he took up that topic, but later I realized that there is something called developmental politics, right? Politics does not always mean a negative sense. It's more of a, I would say it's a mixture of diplomacy, economics, people management, and all the other aspects to it, right? It's more of a universe of itself. So developmental politics really makes sense for an informed individual or an innovator or social engineer for that matter. If more developmental political thinkers come in the sector, which we are seeing in new age, political parties, it makes a lot of sense because they are sensitized for different realities. They are sensitized for what is good and the long-term effects of short-term benefits, right? So they are very much aware about it. Hence, he invited us that be it a direct or indirect effect, you should be involved in the political decision making. Hence, when I went to meet Niti Ayog's chairman also, vice chairman that time, he also mentioned that in Niti Ayog we have a group of people representing every political party in the country. Right? It's not the way media shows it. And that's the reason India, even being a democratic country, irrespective of the government, is still making a lot of relevance and people are really looking up to India as a role model.
So, we are in the last segment of this discussion. I would not say podcast, but more like a informal discussion. What will be your one message to the youth of today?
Okay, so that's a tough one. So I feel that, so I will kind of describe this thought.
Sure.
Youth or someone who is in a school, right, they should have two segments planned in their timetable. One is for their leisure time, we call it passion or hobby. One is for the professional competency, right? Many times youths confuse and they want to convert their passion into profession, which is not necessary. If someone is good at singing, that's good, great. If you can't win competitions, then still be a bathroom singer. Don't live singing or don't flaunt about it and you need not be a professional singer.
True.
But to survive this particular activity of singing, you need to have a trade or skill that is relevant for the market. For that, you need education.
True.
So education should not be confused that education is going to fulfill all my dreams. No. Education is going to give a survival notion for you. It's going to make it, I would say, sense if you utilize your education for a job environment. If you are having a good hobby around it. Later on, when your passive activity becomes or starts giving income and your passive income is much more than your active income that you gain from your education, then switch over. Otherwise, even if you are married, you have kids, still be a bathroom singer, enjoy your life and accept the reality that you need to work 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Don't mix your passion and profession every time because it's not relevant. I like doing beatboxing, but I don't show it to anyone because it's horrible. But to sustain this activity, or even for me, I used to dance in school, I still try to do 1 or 2 moves when no one is around. But that moment of happiness, if I need to sustain it every day, I need to make sure that I reach my office on time, get my things done, do my official duties because that is not only for my survival, but it's also contributing to the economy or the nation building process.
That means if somebody wants to do 9 to 5 job and he's happy or she is happy, then it's good. Ultimately, it's about satisfaction.
Yes, because your job need not be the only means of satisfaction. It's there to make you alive on this planet and make relevance of you as an individual in the planet, right? Sure. It should not be the only source of satisfaction in your life. And then one very interesting conversation I had with a college student. He is in his engineering and he belongs to a very ultra-rich family. Yes. He said, sir, what satisfaction will I have? Because after my education is done, I'm going to join my father's business and I'll be busy, I'll get married, everything. I said, what do you do on your Sunday? He said, sir, nothing. I said, then teach in an orphanage. Then he realized, okay. I said, you teaching in an orphanage does not take away anything from you, nor does it bring any wealth to you. But the satisfaction that you are going to get and the contribution that you are going to give in the society, the depth of it you will going to understand later on, not now. So if you believe me as your mentor, start doing that. So contribution need not be defined just by donating money. It has many forms of it. And people who are contributing in some form or the other, being humble and nice, always find a means to be satisfied.
And I think one more thing is we don't need a celebrity or an influential person to be your mentor. Your friend can be your mentor.
Yes.
You can learn things from your friend which even a celebrity can't teach you.
Absolutely.
So how do you see this thing? Friends play a very crucial role in our lives. So young people coming together and sharing ideas, I think this is the future.
So it depends on the ambition that you have. Again, it boils down to a very simple question. If you want, and let's reverse engineer this thought, right? If you want to have a very peaceful sleep at night, what do you want to do in your day, in morning hours, right, or in the daytime? For some, it would be that if I've helped someone, I'll have a peaceful sleep. For some, it will be if I've achieved this particular degree. For some, it will be if I've achieved this particular stock, I have bought this stock or I have increased my wealth. According to the definition of their peaceful night or the satisfactory level, they can define their circle accordingly. And I feel that at times you can't always be professional with everyone. So sometimes in India it's good because good and bad both, that you have this evening youths coming out playing carom board and stuff, right? But then again, this kind of culture also exists in Calcutta, right? They have these huge cafes, very old cafes, where people come and talk literature, they talk economics, right? They talk politics. So it depends on the content what you're discussing. And there is no harm in having a group of people of your age or even younger to your age and not talking or making any sense of the discussion. Because life is not that serious the way we take it.
True. So thank you so much for
Thank
your
you so much,
time.
sir.
And if you have any message for our audience or the people who are watching this.
So I feel that it's important to take life a bit on a stable pace. It's not that fast, right? We have to understand and accept our realities. If we really want to be successful, we have to increase our skills.
Yeah.
And we have to increase our network. For that, we need to educate ourselves through education, proper education, through degrees, and also through podcasts and other forms of education. Secondly, we should travel locally and internationally as well. And third is we should understand how to manage money. Money management is third most fundamental thing, because if you have a financial freedom, you can do the things you want and you can achieve the things you want in many other ways which you don't assume. Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time, and
Thank you
thank you
so
so
much.
much for watching this video. If you like the video, please do share and comment your reactions. Thank you so much.